All right, so Justin Trudeau has been under investigation by the RCMP here in Canada for pretty much allowing Chinese espionage to happen in a very super top secret lab that holds a lot of viruses in Winnipeg. It's a province in Canada, for those who don't know, right next to Ontario. And this has been a massive controversy over the past, well, several years, because they've been blocking the access to these documents, to the information in which CSIS, our national kind of last line of defense in terms of security, our national security. It's like the FBI or the CIA, like that type of equivalency here in Canada. Since they've said, oh yeah, this is definitely corrupt, and there's nothing that we can do about it. Justin Trudeau is doing what he wants to. You have actual people that work at CSIS that have come out and said that. We're going to take a look at that today and a lot more, including the fact that Justin Trudeau just today has blocked again the RCMP investigation. Yep. It doesn't get more corrupt than that. The man who's being investigated shuts it down and says, there's no need to investigate me. Everything is by the book. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I want to encourage everyone to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. We're on route to 400,000 subscribers. The government sure as shit is not happy with that. And before we get into everything, I want to thank, or have a message from today's sponsor. I want to thank today's sponsor, Private Internet Access. We have teamed up together and they are willing to offer my audience 83% off by using code SUNSHINE, which can be found linked down in the description or the pinned comment below. There is a massive amount of censorship that's happening around the world, and Justin Trudeau is taking it into his own hands, which is why you need to protect yourself with a VPN. Now, what a VPN does is it encrypts your personal information so that when you're browsing on different websites, your info isn't shared. It's almost a way of putting a cloak over yourself, and the favorite way that I go about doing this is with private internet access. Even when it comes to simple things like getting the right information from the news, there is massive amounts of censorship happening. And the only way that you can really get an unbiased opinion is with a VPN. But above and beyond that, if you want to get different shows and movies on different platforms such as Netflix or Disney, and there's these geolocation restrictions, the only really way around that is with a VPN such as private internet access. Not only can you do that from a computer or a tablet, but you can also do that from your phone, which is why private internet access is the best way that I like to go about it. It's user-friendly, it's very affordable, and it's a best way of saying F you to the government. Once again, the link for private internet access and code SUNSHINE is linked down in the description or the pinned comment below. And just remember, the government doesn't want you to hide your identity, but you should take the matter into your hands. And that's why Private Internet Access and I have teamed up to offer you guys 83% off. Thank you, Private Internet Access, for sponsoring today's video. All right, so let's get into the start of this video here. You have Andrew Layton, who works with True North Media, who says, this is why Justin Trudeau's ban on hate speech is so dangerous. Here we have Canadian law professor claiming a clearly defensible comment by Lisa is potential hate speech. Imagine if someone with this sensibility was a Canadian Human Rights Tribunal adjudicator. This is racist and potential hate speech from a sitting provincial legislator. They aren't pro-Palestine, they are pro-terror. This is wild. And then the links go deeper and deeper and deeper. But basically, any criticism towards the government or towards what the government stands for is now being deemed as potential hate speech by the government of Canada, which is why I encourage people to be subscribed and turn post notifications on, because there's a real high probability that channels like mine are going to be shut down under the guise of hate speech here in Canada, where there is no clear indication as to anything I say or other channels like myself have any hate speech at all on the channels. It's just criticism of the government. Hey, Justin Trudeau, what you're doing is wrong, and you shouldn't be blocking investigations into yourself, or, I don't know, protests that are happening in Canada that are actively promoting pro-Hamas. Those don't seem to be good. Hate speech. Yeah, it's pretty corrupt. And that's all coming from this man here, who just recently announced that Canada is going to provide $3 billion in additional financial and military aid to support Ukraine. Meanwhile, 2 million Canadians eat at food banks each month. Members of the Canadian military live in tent cities due to the cost of living crisis. Everything is fine. Clown World. This was 3.1 million views.
Whether it's the security agreements we're signing today, whether it's passing the modernized free trade agreement in Canada, we will continue to be there with you as long as it takes, with everything it takes, until Ukraine wins.
Thank you so much, Justin. Thank you for all days that you are here with us in Ukraine. For these 2 years, your society, thank you, and your own support is really very important and very strong. And we are thankful for this, your long trip, but your coming today is a great signal for us. Thank you so much. And you mentioned about the document. We are very happy with this document. This is one of the strongest one. So thank you so much that we can count on you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, so if you're wondering why we're suffering from high cost of living and unaffordability here in Canada, you can, I guess, move to Ukraine and maybe get some government handouts if that's what you're looking for, because it's absolutely insane that we are prioritizing other countries when we are having a very clear, like in your face, very clear, every single day, 10 cities are getting larger type of crisis here in Canada. Houses are still super unaffordable. Mortgage rates are still insane. You know, most people don't qualify for a $1,500 a month mortgage, but they're being forced to pay $2,500 or $3,000 a month in rent. That's Canada, folks. Doesn't make much sense. And now we're going to take a look at a former senior CSIS intel officer testified that we can prove every federal government from Mulroney to Trudeau's is compromised.
And I want to be very clear. We can prove that every federal government from Mr. Mulroney to Mr. Trudeau have been compromised by agents of the Communist China. Every government were informed at one point or another. Every government choose to ignore CSIS warning either by negligence, self-interest, or partisanship. Every government were infiltrated by agents of influence acting on behalf of the Chinese government, and we knew who they were. Every government took decisions that are questionable about China and can only be explained by interference exercised from within or motivated by self-interest. Not only the sitting government have been compromised, but all federal political parties have been compromised at one point or another. The inaction of the federal government, all federal governments, were led to attacks on many municipal and provincial government. Ultimately, every government have been part of the problem, not the solution. And remember, not only China is practicing interference.
Yeah, so that comes from a man who was a senior official at CSIS, which, again, for the international audience, that's kind of like Canada's FBI or CIA. It's our kind of tippity top intelligence here in Canada. And now we're getting into just this very corrupt coalition that is ruining Canada and our democracy as a whole. You have Melissa Lantsman, who's a Conservative member here in Canada, says the NDP just voted to shut down the investigation into the Winnipeg Lab national security breach. The NDP is protecting Justin Trudeau from political embarrassment instead of protecting our national security. The cover-up coalition is not worth the cost or the corruption. And then you have from the Globe and Mail here, Liberal and the NDP kill proposed examination of national security breaches at Winnipeg infectious disease facility. And then you have the comments here says it's time to get angry. Remind them that when you're in government, we can and will look it all up then. When you think about this in context with their censorship bill, we all should be outraged. And I absolutely cold-heartedly agree with that. This is so frustrating here in Canada. This isn't just some form of like YouTube video or just a headline. This is corruption at the highest level. You have people that are supposed to be investigating, or there's supposed to be an investigation into actual corruption. Like they allowed Chinese espionage here in Canada at our like biggest infectious disease lab. And then you have parties that are teaming up together, right? Kind of like this or whatever you want to look at it. And they're blocking the police, the RCMP, the federal Mounties from doing their job. It doesn't make any sense. Imagine if you got in trouble, right? You got a speeding ticket or something just very, very petty, right? And then it's time to investigate you. And you say, well, let's leave it up to a vote. I nominate my friends and family members to vote on this. And all of a sudden now everyone votes on your behalf saying, no, there's no reason for you to get investigated. Of course they didn't do it, right? Like it's that level of corruption, but at the biggest scale. And it's happening not just on national television here in Canada, but the whole world is witnessing this. It's a tyrannical. You have Justin Trudeau who's running rampant and he's abusing his power. And like normies need to wake up, man. The Liberals shouldn't even be at 1% projected votes. They should have no votes. That's insanity. That's absolutely insanity. Now we're going to take a look at the actual clip here of the Liberals and the NDP that shut down the actual investigation. This is it's just horrifying that this is really happening in Canada.
For that reason, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Point of order.
Mr. Chair, I request a recorded vote on this. Thank you.
That's fine, Mr. Chong.
Point of order.
It's
point
not,
of order, Mr. Chair.
On a point of order,
yeah.
it's not debatable what Ms. Khalid just...
I just want clarification to the effect of what Ms. Khalid has moved is to shut down debate.
I'm so sorry,
debate.
Chair,
That's
but
debate.
no, I refuse
That's
to
debate.
let
That's debate, Mr.
this 106 floor to become political gander for
Ms.
my
Khalid, I've already addressed
colleagues.
that with Mr. Cooper, and
Thank you.
and for those who are watching at home, this is a dilatory motion to stop the meeting before a decision is rendered. So I am going to ask the clerk. It is non-debatable. Mr. Chong has asked for recorded division, and I'm going to ask the clerk.
Sorry, Chair. It sounds like you're debating a little bit there.
No, I'm explaining. I'm explaining, Ms. Khalid.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
She won. She won. This guy has already sided with her, and she still continues to argue. Well, no, we should just turn off the cameras and all move out. It's insane, man. What do you need to do in life to get this type of amnesty and this type of protection? You need to be a Liberal or an NDP political figure. It is absolutely grotesque.
Explaining exactly what's going on here, and that there is no further debate, that you've asked that this meeting be adjourned without a decision of the committee being made. I'm explaining.
Because this is not the mandate of the committee, Chair.
That's your opinion. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
The vote is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Baines.
Yes.
Ms. Damoff.
Yes.
Mr. Sorbar.
Yes, please.
Mr. Hauswater.
Yes.
Ms. Khalid.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
No.
We know
John.
he wants to say
No.
fuck no.
Mr. Ellis.
No.
Monsieur Villemur.
Je suis contre.
That means hell nah.
Mr. Green.
Je veux pas l'émotion.
Hell nah.
Yeas 6, nays 4.
So the motion to adjourn does carry by Ms. Khalid. This meeting is now adjourned.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is not only the face of corruption, but that is the actual corruption happening live in front of us. This is insane. Imagine you go to school or work, and you know what? People are now conspiring. We don't want to be here. It's sunny outside. The weather is nice. You know, we've paid enough into our climate and carbon tax that the weather has now magically changed. Let's all just conspire and make a vote. And if we get more yeses than nos to adjourn school or work, then there's nothing that our employer or teachers or principal can do. Imagine if that's the mentality. It is so messed up that this is even allowed to happen. If you're being investigated by the RCMP, you can't just vote your way out of it. But apparently here in Canada, you can. And that's why it's so important to share videos like this. This isn't just another headline. This isn't just clickbait shit. This is real stuff. And we actually have an opportunity to make a difference, folks, here in Canada by getting more people informed about this type of corruption. Is this what you want for the rest of your life, for your children's life, your grandchildren's life? Is this what you want to happen here in Canada, where NDP and Liberals or whoever is in power has this opportunity to just block investigations into themselves? Because personally, I don't. I want a little bit more justice. I want a little bit more of a democracy. And we're not getting that here. And it's insane. And it's just being swept under the rug. And these are unfortunately not breaking news headlines and primetime news slots here in Canada for mainstream media. They're just doing this, and then you have to go to, grungy YouTube videos like Mr. Sunshine Baby or whatever to get this information. You're sitting there thinking, is this real? Is this really as urgent as Mr. Sunshine Baby and other YouTubers are actually saying? Oh yeah, it absolutely is that urgent, if not even more. I can't even emphasize how urgent and how desperate the situation needs to change. It's just horrible. But before I continue the video, I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think it's horrible? Do you think we need to change? Or are you okay with this type of behavior? Please let me know down below. Next up, we have the Conservative Party of Canada here on X saying Justin Trudeau has demonstrated a pattern of neglecting Canada's national security.
Dr. Chu clandestinely collaborated with the government and the military of the People's Republic of China and was paid by that same government and military of the People's Republic of China without the government of Canada knowing. These Winnipeg lab breaches are part of a broader pattern by this government of neglecting Canada's national security. We not only have the Winnipeg lab breaches, we have a neglect of sensitive areas of research at Canadian universities, in the theft of intellectual property and the threat to national security that CSIS has now highlighted for almost a decade. We have the neglect of the PRC's foreign interference threat activities directed at democratic institutions like Parliament and at our democratic processes like our general elections, which has forced the government to call a public inquiry, which is ongoing. And in all of this, it's the Prime Minister, the head of government, that is responsible.
There you go. And what does he do? Well, he blocks things from actually happening or going through or proper investigations taking place. We've never been so desperate in Canadian history, not to my knowledge. Maybe somebody in the comments can reflect on a time where things were this bad or on a worse trajectory. But to my understanding and knowledge, no. We're at peak not only insanity but peak corruption, and something has to happen. We have to. It sounds so silly, but we have to vote our way out of this because this is unfortunately politics. It's a stupid, silly, little unfair game, and you have to wait. Not weeks, not days, not months, but years to be able to fix it. And you have to do everything by the book in order to gain, popularity and sway people to actually believe that the alternative is something that is better. And I would have to say there is no alternative that could potentially be worse than this. This is horrible. We're like a couple of steps away from a full-blown communist regime here in Canada. And it's scary, and you have every right to be scared. Personally, I'm terrified. I'm scared shitless of the future of Canada. This is so terrifying that this is happening, and it's not just blocking investigations by the RCMP. It gets way deeper and way worse, and that's why you should subscribe to this channel and turn post notifications on, because we have a hell of a lot more videos to come, and we are not done. We're going to keep going till we either get banned or pulled off the platform, or a new government. On the optimistic side, a new government, and then we just keep going forever. All right, thanks for watching, folks. Don't forget to smash the like button if you haven't yet already, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.